fellow bookworms to Timber's Dead. My name is Whitney, and today I have a video that's just a little bit different, still book related. But recently I was out with my sister-in-law and my husband. We went to a bookstore, and she was kind of looking for books that might work for a particular student of hers. And so I got a little bit more information and told her, I kind of think about it, and if anything came to mind, I'd let her know. Well, I ended up doing some research based on what she had given me, the information she had given me, and I compiled a list of books that I thought would work for the student and sent it over to her. So after doing that, I was kind of thinking about it. I thought this would kind of be a fun video idea. And so I'm going to give you, the overall basic information about what this girl likes. I'm going to keep it very generic, obviously privacy and all that, but I'll give you the overall things she likes and whatnot, overall age range, and then I'll give you the books that I recommended for her. So she is an 11-year-old girl. She likes Harry Potter, Alice in Wonderland, and dragons. She likes intelligent characters that can outsmart others. She enjoys puzzles and is imaginative. She does have some anxiety and doesn't like anything too disturbing, and of course nothing too mature for her. And she did let me know she's also a little bit advanced above her reading age, but obviously it still needs to be age appropriate. So I chose some books that aren't directly dragon related but are on lists of readers that have enjoyed Harry Potter and or Alice in Wonderland. I also looked at the reviews to get a better sense of the books, and they all have pretty good to great reviews. And I noted any potential anxiety triggers in my overall synopsis of each book. And that way, obviously my sister-in-law knows this girl better. I've never met her, and so she can be on the lookout for anything that might trigger, her anxiety, or be too disturbing or mature for her. So, but yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. I will just note that I did most of my research on Goodreads. Um, I kind of went to the children's section, middle grade, and looked through, and just anything that kind of popped up that I thought might be appropriate, I went to look at, and then I read the synopsis and then the reviews. If I thought the synopsis, based on the synopsis, it sounded like something that was appropriate and would be enjoyable for her, I then went on to the reviews to see if there was any potential problematic areas. Most of these I have not read myself, but I did include a couple that I did. So I started with those, of course, because I was most familiar with those. And so the first one I recommended, for this 11-year-old girl reading grade between 5th and 7th grade, I recommended A Wrinkle in Time, um, series by Madeleine L'Engle. And I only read the first three. I have the trilogy. I actually did a video on it, which I'll leave linked below, um, for my Throwback Thursday, and love those just as much now as I did it back then. And I remember I read The Wrinkle in Time over and over and over again. I'd always go to the library and check it out. And so, yeah, I thought, it has kind of that fantasy aspect. The second one has a dragon in it. And so I hoped, that might be something she would enjoy. So this is what I wrote. So I said, I definitely recommend The Wrinkle in Time Quintet by Madeleine L'Engle. I've only read the first three and particularly enjoyed the first two. The first in the series isn't too intense, though the darkness in the books may be upsetting, especially how it is in the second book. Though the second one has a dragon, which is a lot of fun. The main villain in the first book is a brain that they have to outwit, which you might enjoy. Though it does take over Charles Wallace, which could be intense, though nowhere near as intense as Harry Potter if she enjoyed those. The third one is mostly featuring Charles Wallace, and he journeys through time with a unicorn to change might have beens, which takes puzzling out. And so, you have smart characters outwitting somebody, and then you also have that puzzling aspect. You have a little bit of that fantasy base. There's a dragon in the second one, And so yeah, I strongly recommended that one for her. The next one, which we had already mentioned to her as a possibility when we were at the store, and that's the Enchanted Forest Chronicles by Patricia Wrede. I want to say is how you pronounce her last name. Um, and this one I just said they were so fun to read. It pokes fun at classic fairy tale tropes, and the characters are witty and fun, especially as the series progresses, and they must think about how to outwit the wizards. I don't recall anything that might trigger anxiety, as it is just a fun and adventurous book without being too intense. And if you've never read those, like my husband got them for me as an adult, and there's just so much fun. They're definitely appropriate for kids, but I think the humor and such in them is enjoyable for adults as well. So that's one, no matter your age, I would recommend picking up. And obviously, it's about dragons, like they're a main part of the story. So it's dealing with dragons. I forget what the other ones are called, but yeah, it's all about the dragons, and then this princess who it kind of pokes fun, like I said, at the classic fairy tale tropes and such. So, and then next, I recommended the Mysterious Benedict Society series by Trenton Lee Stewart. I have one of those. I have not read it yet. I picked it up at the thrift store because it looked fun and interesting. I think the one I have is the second one in the series. There's 4 books total, but I said there are 4 books in the series. I haven't read these books, so I do have one I picked up and plan on reading. Based on the synopsis for the first one, the Learning Institute for the very enlightened places an ad looking for gifted children. The children are tasked with a secret mission and a series of tests which can test the wits of the reader alongside the characters. And this was all in the synopsis. And then I mentioned one review said, great cast of characters, lots of cool puzzles and mysteries. Overall, this sounds like a fun series she might enjoy since she likes puzzles. So even though it's not, it doesn't have necessarily have dragons and whatnot, it still just seems like a fun kind of witty book that this girl who enjoys puzzles and such might enjoy. And then for number 4, I said, I have never read this one, but the movie is one of my all time favorites. It is Enchanted by Gail, Carson, Levine. You may be familiar with this one, but just in case, it is a Cinderella adaptation complete with evil stepmother slash sisters and all. Though in this one, her father is alive. It follows Ella, who is given the gift of obedience at birth. When her stepsisters discover this and exploit it, Ella goes on an adventure to find her fairy godmother to get her to take the gift back. It has ogres and trolls and an elf that wants to be a lawyer. The prince joins Ella for the adventure, though she is less than impressed by him. Classic to Cinderella, they do fall in love, which plays a part in Ella finding the key to no longer being obedient. It is quirky and fun. Ella is always having to find ways around being obedient, so that problem solving logic is there as well. In the movie, there is a scene where the ogres try to eat Ella. They have her in a pot, but otherwise it isn't too intense, though I can't speak to the book. The only thing that might induce anxiety is the end when the prince's uncle instructs Ella to kill the prince after learning her secret. Again, not sure how intense the book is, but in the movie that is the point where Ella figures out how to get out of being a slave to her death. Get her to her gift. Though reading the reviews, there is no uncle in the book, so I'm not sure how that part plays out. So yeah, I mean, obviously, book and movie, there's going to be differences. So, and like I said, there's no uncle in the book as far as what was said in the reviews. So that was a major part of the movie. So I'm not sure how it plays out there. But I thought, you have this strong female lead character, and she is having to kind of use her smarts to figure out a way around and out of this gift that she has of being obedient. So I thought that one would be a fun one for this particular girl. And then next, I know nothing about the next few I know nothing about other than what I read in the synopsis and the reviews. The first of these that I thought she might enjoy is The Girl Who Circumnavigated Fairyland in a Ship of Her Own Making by Catherynne M. Valente. Quite the mouthful, but it was recommended for readers who enjoy both Alice in Wonderland and The Golden Compass. Based on the synopsis, the main character, September's ordinary life changes after her father goes to war and her mother goes to work. One day she is approached by a gentleman who invites her on an adventure, implying she is needed to help the inhabitants of Fairyland. She needs to find a talisman that is lost in the Enchanted Wood to keep the new Marquess from making life impossible for those living in Fairyland. One of the reviews compares it to both Alice in Wonderland and A Wrinkle in Time. Several of the reviews classified it as inventive and whimsical. From what I gathered, it uses descriptive vocabulary without being too much for young readers of around 12. If it is something she would enjoy, there are a total of 5 books in the series. And so yeah, I thought, with the vocabulary, it might push her a little bit, but it was still age appropriate based on what I saw. And then you have this character, who obviously is trying to find a talisman, and based on the title of the book, sounds like, she's kind of witty and smart and everything like that. So thought that one would be a fun one for her to try anyway. And then next is one I want to read after reading the synopsis. It is called The Dragon with a Chocolate Heart by Stephanie Burgis. This is part of a trilogy and just sounds like a lot of fun. It is about a fierce and brave dragon named Adventurine who leaves the safety of her family to find their most dangerous prey, a human. But instead of catching a human, she gets tricked into drinking enchanted chocolate, which changes her into a 12-year-old girl. With her newfound passion for chocolate and unable to return home in her new human form, Aventurine heads to the city to find more delicious chocolate. The city is full of adventures, including a woman who Aventurine and tries to trick Aventurine, and unusual sightings of dragon which bring out the king's battle mages. One review said, "The Dragon with a Chocolate Heart is a delicious confection, a middle grade slash YA fantasy novel that blends dragons and the art of chocolate making with adventure and some significant life lessons." If she isn't crazy about chocolate, she might not enjoy it, but I thought it sounded fun and it had good reviews overall. Though I saw multiple times, it does start off a little bit slow. So that just sounds like a series that is so much fun. If you have read it at all, or at least the first one, please let me know down below because I am so curious about this book. And like I said, it's definitely one I wanted to read. But I thought with the dragon and then, adventuring, kind of having to figure things out, in the city and almost being tricked by a woman, I thought it fit the bill for something this girl might enjoy. So, and then the next one, another book I found is called The Voyage to Magical North by Claire Fayers, which is part of a duology. The second book in the series, The Journey to Dragon Island, has the main character searching for dragons. In the first one, 12-year-old Brian can't remember her past. She was found alone as a child in a rowboat and now keeps house for an irritable magician and his apprentice, Peter. When Brian and Peter get into some trouble and flee, they find themselves part of a pirate's quest to find the magical North, which most people consider a myth. Along the way, she may find answers to who her parents are, or as the synopsis says, get eaten by sea monsters. A lot of reviews mention the humor of the book. It was described as quirky and fun with lots of adventure. Not sure how she feels about pirates, but with the magical aspect, it might be worth a try, especially with the second one bringing dragons into the picture. And then the next one I said, the reviews for the last 2 books aren't quite as good as the others, but they still rated just below 4 stars and seem to fit the criteria of what she might enjoy. A Dragon's Guide to the Care and Feeding of Humans by Laurence and Joanne Ryder is another trilogy. It has a dragon, Miss Drake, and her pet, Winnie, a sassy 10-year-old. Miss Drake is a 3,000-year-old dragon who is still mourning the loss of her last pet, Winnie's great aunt Amelia. Winnie's mom inherits great aunt Amelia's mansion along with its guest, Miss Drake. Winnie receives a sketch pad from Miss Drake, which turns out to have magical properties. As Winnie starts to draw magical creatures, they come to life, and Winnie and Miss Drake must embark on an adventure to capture the creatures and put everything back in order. Looking at the reviews, it sounded like a straightforward story with adventure and humor. I did see loss and grief mentioned a couple of times. Miss Drake grieving for Amelia, and I saw a mention that Winnie is dealing with the loss of her father. It is recommended for children 8 to 12, but not sure if the undertone of grief would cause any anxiety. And so the last book that I found is called Dragon's Green by Scarlett Thomas, which is the first book in another trilogy. This one may not be for blank, as the synopsis mentions a mysterious incident that leaves the main character's grandfather close to death. And in the reviews, a little bit of a spoiler alert here, and in the reviews, it says he is attacked on the street. One review said he was murdered. That said, it follows Effie, who believes in magic along with her grandfather, though he refuses to teach her anything about it. After the incident involving her grandfather, Effie is given a ring and told to look after her grandfather's collection of rare and powerful books. The books end up falling into the hands of a shady scholar, and Effie, along with her friends, embark on an adventure to get the books back. But Effie alone will travel to the other world, where she will learn the true meaning of a book called The Dragon's Green. Several reviews I found compare it to Harry Potter and Alice in Wonderland, so even with the slightly darker undertone, she might really enjoy it. I am a little confused about this one, as several reviews also mentioned it being cute. So I'm really not sure, because you have like that dark undertone and a potential murder, and then other reviews said it was a cute book. So, but that was the last book that I came up with for, like I said, an 11-year-old girl reading level 5th grade to 7th grade who likes Harry Potter, Alice in Wonderland, dragons, and is into puzzles and is really imaginative. So let me know what you think about my picks, if you think those kind of fit the bill for what I was given. And also let me know if you've read any of these books, especially The Dragon with a Chocolate Heart. That one just sounds so intriguing to me, and let me know what you thought about them. If you would like more of these videos, leave me kind of something in the comments below, like age range, you know, other books enjoyed or other authors enjoyed, and just a little something that I can build off a personal recommendation list. So, yeah, let me know, and I'm gonna go ahead and leave you guys here. Happy reading, everyone. Bye.